If you have pain on the front of your shoulder, chances are that your humerus is in a compromised position, meaning that it can't glide effectively within the shoulder socket. The number one most common thing you're going to see associated with pain on the front of the shoulder is a limitation in shoulder internal rotation. Many people associate a limitation in shoulder internal rotation with tight pecs, tight lats, and while that can be true to a certain extent, it's also representative of how much tightness is on the front side of this rib cage right here, specifically around the area of the sternum. When these ribs around the sternal area are depressed and down, that pulls the shoulder forward with it. And that's often also associated with more of a winged scapula on that side, so that scapula is moving off of the rib cage like that. That limits the ability of the humerus right here to glide back effectively because that forward shoulder position is compromising its ability to do that. And the tightness of the ribs on this front side are often associated with pecs that are often tight as well. Before I do anything specific to the rotator cuff, what I want to do is first open up these front ribs and restore the shoulder into a better position, because if we can open up space right here, that's going to allow for the shoulder to naturally come back. So then when we breathe throughout the day, the shoulder is constantly able to move and change positions rather than just being stuck in one depressed position. So when we inhale, these ribs can open up, we exhale, they can go back down, and that way they're not stuck. Now, I'd love to use assessments to determine if we made a positive change. I would encourage you to do the same. So when you do these exercises, you should see an improvement in your shoulder internal rotation. I'm often looking for at least 70 degrees relative to the starting position. So this is 0, we would want to get around 70 degrees. In my shoulder health and beginner body restoration program, I use simple exercises like this to help open up that space there and improve shoulder internal rotation. We can do this on a rack or we can do this in a door frame. It's up to you and what's available to you, but we want to be able to wrap our fingers around it with a thumbs down grip. And we want to do that around the height of our shoulder here. So Trevor's got that right there. And then whatever hand is on the rack or the door frame, you can take a step back with that same leg. So he's gonna take a step back there and then bend both knees. And the key here is to kind of rotate into it and open into it so that he's got his left side closed off here and this right side's opened up, and he's keeping his back pretty rounded here. This is going to place length in that lat so it can open up and decompress. And then he's going to exhale, big open mouth sigh until he feels his left side abs engage, because that's closed off. That's going to allow for lengthening and expansion in this right side right here. So he's going to keep that tension in his left side abs after he exhales for about 5 to 10 seconds. Sighing it out, and then inhaling, keeping that, just as I mentioned, he's gonna feel this open up even more, and it should feel pretty good. The most common mistake in this is people will either rotate too much or not enough, so we're just gonna give you a general rule of a place to be. So in this, you wanna make sure that your shoulders are almost stacked on top of each other in this vertical plane, but not quite, it's just short of that. If you can get into that position, then you're gonna feel a pretty good stretch on that lat. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna get in a supine position with our legs straight. We're gonna hold a weight in the opposite side of the side we're rolling to. So we're rolling right here. We're going to hold the weight in our left hand. We're just going to have this right arm hanging out by the side, just chilling, relaxing, bringing up this left leg to about 90 degrees. And now we're just going to roll over to the side, kind of punching the weight up towards the ceiling as we inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to keep this hand facing down there. As we inhale, we're going to supinate and get the palm facing straight towards this camera right here or the wall over there. Exhale there, inhale here. The important part is that we're keeping our eyes on the bell so that way we can get a head turn towards that side. You don't want to overly crank your neck, but you want to make sure that your eyes remain on the bell and you can get a rotation of your neck without it being uncomfortable at all. The most common mistake here is people are going to go too fast through the breathing. So we're trying to work on our mobility of the shoulder a little bit and the ability to expand our rib cage. So if you're going really fast here, you're not going to be able to give your ribs time to move through the breath cycle. So go really slow, about 5-second inhale through the nose, 5-second exhale through the mouth. It should be really, really slow and controlled. And if you're doing that well, you're gonna feel some expansion happening within your rib cage, which is great. which means that we're now much more likely to have better success trying to get the muscles, the smaller stabilizing muscles, as a lot of people think of them, around the shoulder to do their job better, such as the subscapularis. You can think about it like this. We're going to open up space to move into internal rotation, and then we can retrain it better because we can now move through that range of motion without compensation. So what we're going to do is get with a cable machine or a band, and we're going to have some really light resistance here. I'm talking 10 pounds maximum. Less than that's probably even better to start with. 10 pounds for me was probably the max I would ever want to do with this. And we have a towel roll underneath the right humerus supporting it, and it's about 1 inch to 2 inches thick. I wouldn't go thicker than 2 inches, but I want it to be at least 1 inch. And then we're going to have our elbow at about 90 degrees directly out from the shoulder. And then we're going to be pretty close to the resistance so that we can just pull it slightly away and then get at this 90-degree angle. And then as Trevor exhales, he's going to pivot around that elbow and internally rotate to his end range. Actively don't go beyond that because then the shoulder will pop off of the towel, and he's going to inhale back to that 90-degree angle. And then exhale down again, just like that, making sure that shoulder is not coming forward at all.